Hi everyone. Tonight's lesson is on to identify and use the properties of real numbers. Our properties of addition. The first one is the identity property of addition, and that states the sum of 0 and A is A. Your example is 5 plus 0 equals 5. Algebraically, A plus 0 equals A. The commutative property of addition. That states that changing the order of the addends does not change the sum. So in other words, 2 plus 3 is equal to 3 plus 2. Algebraically, A plus B is equal to B plus A. The next property is the associative property of addition. And that states that changing the grouping of the addends does not change the sum. So we can have 1 plus 2 plus 3, and it's going to be equal to 1 plus 2 plus 3. Notice the only thing that moves is the parentheses. The order stays the same. Algebraically, and sorry for the tilt here, we have A plus B parentheses plus C is equal to A plus parentheses B plus C. Commutative property up here again, the order changes. 2 plus 3, 3 plus 2. Associative property, the order does not change, just the parentheses do. We have very similar properties for multiplication, plus a few more. The identity property of multiplication states that the product of 1 and A is A. So any number, 635 times 1, is going to be equal to 635. Algebraically, 1 times B is going to be equal to B. The next property is the commutative property of multiplication. And that says changing the order of the factors does not change the product. So we can have 5 times 4 and it's going to be equal to 4 times 5. Algebraically, A times B is going to be equal to B times A. The next property is the associative property of multiplication. And again, it says changing the grouping of the factors does not change the product. So again, here we're just going to move the parentheses. The order of the factor stays the same. 5 times 3 times 2 is the same as 5 times 3 times 2. A times B times C is equal to A times B times C. Again, the order stays the same with associative property. We also have the zero property. The zero property of multiplication states that the product of 0 and any number is 0. So 2 times 0 is 0. Algebraically, A times 0 is 0. And this one becomes pretty important in algebra. It's called the multiplication property of -1. And it says the product of -1 and A is -A. Or you may want to think about this as being the opposite of A. So if we have -1 times 8, our answer is -8. -1 times -8, our answer is 8. In this case, or algebraically, we have -1 times A is -A. And we also have -1 times -A is going to give us a positive A, or the opposite of -A. Here's a couple more examples for you. -1 times -3, -3. -1 times A is -A. -1 times -4 is going to be positive 4. -1 times M is going to be -M. And then finally, -1 times -B is going to be positive B. Identify each property shown. Be careful with these. They're all not as easy as you think. Our first one demonstrates the associative property of addition. The addends stay the same, the parentheses move. The second one is the commutative property of addition. The order of these two addends has changed. The subtraction sign stays at the end. Number 3, the identity property of addition. Notice it is not the zero property of addition. And our last one is actually the commutative property of multiplication. Again, this is one that is not the zero property. It is not stating that 70 and 1/2 times 0 equals 0. The order of the factors is changing. So this actually is demonstrating the commutative property of multiplication. Deductive reasoning is the process of thinking logically. I know we don't like to think, but we have to with deductive reasoning. You think logically from the given facts and you draw a conclusion. To show a statement is not true, you have to find an example where the problem or situation does not work. An example showing a statement is false is called a counterexample.